few months ago, you had, this podcast wars. It's a thing.
Oh boy,
I know.
Every year,
it really is a thing.
Every fucking year.
It
really is a thing. Every year.
It's just one of those things. So it's like, all right,
every
cool.
other month now.
Here we go. I can't remember exactly when, but I know sometimes within like the recent months, Joe Budden commented on Rory and Maul's set. Right, as far as the microphones. Now, as podcasters,
why he said that?
You need microphones, right? And there's not really a handbook on the type of microphone, but fuck it, I guess there was that day.
Yeah, the mic stands.
Mic stands, right? And Joe had made a comment about Rory and Maul not having the proper setup. There was wires in the shot, and all that. You being one of the producers, you being the guy who kind of sets those things up. I would love to get some background into how that setup was.
Where were you when you heard
that happened? Oh, I was on my way there like, fuck. Right?
We gotta switch this around.
I didn't feel like that was a Rory and Maul jab. I feel like that was a me jab.
You did it,
right? Because I'm like, damn, I mean, he's not wrong. I was like, I get what he's coming at. But this is what I was saying earlier, right? Because he made the comment about like the mic stand, shit like that. But like realistically, the reason why there was no mic stands is just it wasn't efficient. Like I'm not gonna put mic stands on their shot, and it looks weird as fucking. You got these big ass because we don't have like arms, right? We didn't have arms at the time. Yeah. It was Rory's house. We were making the best of his house, and it still looked good. That was like my best thing about it. He had great ass lighting, right?
Comfy couch,
good couch,
look like comfy couch,
right? And it's like people also like get very. I've seen a lot of new podcasts get exceptionally like strong about like equipment. So if they don't see these like $400 or $500 microphones, they think like this is not gonna sound good.
Assumptions.
I was working with 4, 5, $100 microphones, and it sounded better than a lot of other podcasts I've heard before. Who've had these joys, right? Who've had these joints before. And I'm not talking about Joe. I'm talking about like other podcasts, right? Yeah. So that was another thing, right? And then so again, I think I told y'all like I would set up every single time I went to Rory's house. So we would be taping twice a week, but then also like have 4 like pieces of content every week. Yeah. So I'd have to go set up every single time. So when that happened, he was like, y'all don't even got mic stands. I was like,
wait, can I ask a stupid question? Like, why? What is so bad about holding the mics though? Like, what?
Nothing. I mean, it was a funny jab.
It was funny, and I know, especially with the stands, like they really ran with it and thought it was like hilarious. But I'm just genuinely asking, like, what if, like, why can't we hold the mic?
I do like how Rory and Maul leaned into it though, because to answer your question, Reggie, podcasts can probably go on for a while. Especially for most of us here, right? Like we'll do regular podcasts and we'll go into Patreon. Okay. So maybe Joe was going like, yo, they don't got enough strength to carry it up.
And it'd be like wobbling.
Okay. I think it was a great jab. Yeah. I understand. I respect the jab. It was funny, but I think at the same time, it was also funny to us because it was like, okay, cool, right? Because at the end of the day, we still like made fun of it. It was funny to us. And then they did the whole bare minimum shit. And then we made bare minimum t-shirts. And I'm going to tell you right now, that should definitely help fund the new studio. So thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it because you made my job way easier. So thank you for that.
I like how y'all spelled minimum wrong and it still went over people's heads.
Like,
that was hard.
That was the fun part of it all too. That's where I sometimes like these pod wars because it's just like I know there's a personal aspect in it too at the end of the day, and that sucks because I'm not really part of that part. Right, but even though I produce this show, it's just kind of like I don't think anyone loses.
No, that's what I was about to say. Like, it's not really like the beef and the wars. It's not really like a life or death situation. It is like a fight. It is like an argument and stuff. But at the end of the day, so everybody does benefit off of like everybody talking about it anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Yeah. It's gonna happen. It's just sometimes it's gotten a little stale for me because I'm just like, like.
But also, you've been in this world for like years, so it's not like you're like, oh my god.
And this is not even like the first one I've really been part of.
It's even been like, ask you that.
He did it again.
How like you are just a pod war.
There was definitely like a flagrant and like or brilliant and Rory and Maul and Joe Budden like fucking war.
How did you survive that?
Yeah, what's second?
How did you survive that? Because I know at some point, so the first real like podcast white boy war was Rory and Andrew.
Yeah,
Rory and Andrew.
Where was I?
I didn't know nothing about this.
They had some friction. Okay. I'm not gonna say it was beef.
Okay.
But
niggas not beefing. Nobody getting beat.
Some shade.
So there's just tense.
There we go. A little bit of shade.
It's strong tension though. Trust me.
In the Stone Age days of podcasting.
Wait, Was it like there's only room for one white man in town?
Yes, there was only room for one white man in the hip hop space at that time.
That's funny.
Like,
damn.
And
Oh my god, that would be like if there's like one other Asian girl podcaster out there.
Yeah.
Sure.
You would have to be for her.
If you say that, yeah.
You would have to be for her.
There'll be a little tension.
But there was a time at some
there
point.
can only be one. No, I'm kidding.
There was a crossover between the Brilliant Idiots and the Joe Budden Pod, and then Andrew and Rory. It was a thing, right? Joe caped for Rory because that was his guy, and then Andrew was like, Charlamagne was like, yo, Andrew is my guy, and then it became a comparison, right? Jesus. And then from there, those guys had tension at a time.
Two completely different people, by the way.
Two completely different people. But
you
just because they're fucking white.
They were white in the hip hop space, so they got compared. But needless to say,
funny.
I do know, like, once you started working with Rory and Mal, I could imagine, like, oh, wait, this guy got his introduction through Andrew Schultz. How did he feel? What was that like for you? So you've been going through, like, this podcast war thing for a while. With Andrew, Rory, I think they pieced it up. I have no idea. But now I know with Joe, Rory, Mal, like, it's a thing for you. Like, how do you handle all of that?
I mean, these guys have never brought that stuff, like that tension to me.
That energy.
You know what I'm saying?
Like in a divorce.
Like they've never how do I say this? They've never okay, so they know that I worked with Charlamagne and Andrew and all that, but they've never took that energy and been like, oh, well, this guy's gonna be trouble or some shit like that. Because I also don't work that way. Yeah. And also that pod war shit does not. It
doesn't affect
I see it as very WWE stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I don't. Yeah. It's cool entertainment,
but you know,
honestly,
it's fake.
Yeah, like it's more for the comments. You know, people in the comments are the ones that argue about it way more than anyone I've ever seen argue about things on set. Yeah. I've never seen anyone argue on set or like blow gasket for that on set. Like it's not that serious. It's really never been that serious, and I think that's where it's kind of like cool. But it's definitely come across my mind like, dang, like how do they feel about that? Like, do they think it's weird? Like, did they think like I'm a fucking mole or some shit like that? Like,
but that's how good you are, because regardless of that, they're like, no, we have to keep Eddin. Like, he's gonna work for us, guys.
Appreciative, but it's just man, but that shit is so funny.
He's over it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What? I mean, I'm sure you're over it too.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It's just
it's annoying.
It doesn't really go anywhere.
It doesn't do anything. And then the other thing is like you can tell that it's just personal. And
100%.
There's a thin line between love and hate.
Personal.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a thin line between love and hate. Like me dealing with like breakups and girlfriends, it's like, yo, I love you one day, and then it's like, yo, I hate you. I can't stand it. Like
Flips.
It's such a thin line between love and hate. So for me, I'm like, oh wait, these guys once loved each other. Now, you know, they have some problems. So I can understand why it plays out how it plays out.